Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Karlie. I am a knitter and yarn dyer coming to you from Alberta, Canada. I have a typical style podcast for you today. So I have a finished object, a couple of whips, and some long-term whips that I'd like to give an update on. So let's get started. Before we get into my finished object and the whips, let's just talk briefly about what I'm wearing. You probably recognize it already. It is the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose. This is knit in Karlie Paige Fibre Co. in the Sprout Sport base, and it is knit in a one-of-a-kind colorway. It was my first batch of dye when I started, or when I got this new base to dye with, and it was just kind of some sample yarn that I was dyeing, so I thought I would also knit up a sample piece. So it's just this really pretty light blush color. It's not necessarily the best for my skin tone, but it was some leftover dye that I wanted to use up, and it works just fine. As you can see, I omitted the ribbing. I just left the edge as the raw cast on edge, which I did the long tail cast on. And I did do the short rows for the front and back. I'll stand up here. As you can see, it's a really nice drape to it. It is a sport weight yarn, but I did 4.25 millimeter needles for this one. So it's a nice open and airy gauge without being see-through. I go more in depth about the modifications that I did in my last podcast episode, and so if you want to know more about that, just check that episode out. So the only finished object for this episode is a pair of socks, and I don't have them here with me because I had already gifted them to my sister. I knit these up for her birthday, and these are the brick and mortar socks. That is my pattern. It is linked down below. Everything that I talked about today will be linked down below as well. So I knit these in Rowan sock in the color 1, which is Jewel. It's this gorgeous color changing yarn that doesn't have any harsh color changes. It is very subtle, and there's lots of blending of the colors between each color change. So it just works up to be this really beautiful gradient of these, I think there's 3 or 4 colors. It was just absolutely gorgeous. It was really fun to work with, and I would definitely use this yarn again. I did modify this pattern, and I spoke briefly about that in the last podcast episode as well. But if you want to make a similar pair, it's basically just using the first 5x1 rib pattern in the brick and mortar pattern and continuing it down for the entire leg and foot instead of alternating it with the other 5x1 pattern. And then the other modification I did is for the heel, which is a strong heel. During the heel increases in the original pattern, it continues with a 5x1 rib. On this one, I just did all knit stitches, so it's just stockinette. And I just did that so it just kind of was a little bit easier to knit on. Honestly, that's just why I made these modifications. I just wanted a ribbed pattern that wasn't like 2x2 rib or 1x1 rib. I wanted a larger rib pattern, so 5x1, and I just wanted to keep it going down the entire sock because with this color changing yarn, I didn't want anything too busy. And so I thought my brick and mortar sock pattern was perfect for that. And then I also just, like I said, made the heel increases a little bit more simple, and that is also because I knew that I would be knitting on these during a road trip and during a little weekend getaway. So I wanted it to be just really simple and a mindless knit, and that's why I made those modifications. And I think that they turned out really nicely. They are just so pretty to look at. The yarn was amazing. It is so beautiful, and my sister really loves them. I hope they fit her. I haven't asked her if they fit her yet, so I'm gonna have to double check with her on that, but her feet are just slightly larger than mine, so I typically just knit my foot with a few extra rows, and then that seems to have been working over the past couple of years or past year or so. When she first got her first pair of knit socks that I knit her, she fell in love with them, and so of course I had to make her more pairs of socks, and every time it's birthday or Christmas, I like to give her a pair of socks. So I'm probably going to keep that tradition going. But recently I have been struggling with my sock mojo and just the motivation for knitting socks. I think the main reason for that is because I just knit so much socks at the beginning of the year and last winter that I just got sick of it and I needed a change. And also a lot of my sample knitting that I do for my yarn company is just doing a vanilla sock. I do have a BFL sock base, so I knit a lot of vanilla socks as sample knits for different colorways, and I just maybe have equated that to like work now, but I don't know. If I get to consider like knitting as work, then I feel extremely lucky and just like so happy about that. So maybe that's not the case. Every time I am knitting for like my business, I'm just like, wow, how is this part of my job right now? And I feel just so happy about it. So that's probably not the case, but I think it just was because I knit too many socks and I need a lot of variety in my knitting projects. So I'm gonna have a little bit more of a break from sock knitting for a while, and hopefully in the fall and winter I'll be motivated to work on more socks. But if I'm not, that's totally fine too, because I have plenty of socks to wear. And I guess one thing I could do, if I want to give my sister another pair of socks for Christmas this year, I could do a DK pair of socks and they'll just go a little bit faster. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Moving on to the whips, let's start with the oldest whip here. This is one that I shared in the last podcast episode, and this is the Lacy Loop Tee by Other Loops. This is, I said that I was probably going to have so much of this done by the next time I podcasted, and that's not the case. But I have a good reason for that, because a different project became priority, and so I just had to put a lot more time and effort into that one. However, I did get a few rows done on this, so I am using Pingouin Floride yarn. This is discontinued yarn, unfortunately, but it is from my Nana's stash. So she has a ton of this yarn. It is 50 gram, I don't even know what to call these because they're wrapped around these little cardboard things. So 50 gram little units here, and you get 96 yards, 85 meters. It's 65% viscose and 35% silk. So yes, I have a ton of these, and my Nana, she used to work at a yarn store back in the day, and so that's why she has so much yarn and so much of the same thing. And I've noticed that a lot of them had like sale stickers on them. So I think she got a lot of them maybe with her like employee discount, and then also them being on sale. She stocked up on a lot of things, which I now get to have, which is great. So yeah, she just has a ton of the same yarn, and I'm trying to work my way through it slowly but surely, and it has been absolutely amazing working with her yarn. It just is such a nice connection with my Nana, and I don't have any memories of her knitting as a child. I knew that she knit, but I don't remember seeing her knit. So it is just really nice to kind of, yeah, just knit with her yarn and know that she did knit and she had an interest in it, and it's just a nice way to connect with her. So just for that reason alone, it's been such an enjoyable project using her yarn. But I also just love this pattern. It's really engaging, but it's not difficult. You're switching up your stitches between stockinette and purling, and then a little bit of really simple lace. So it's just been a really nice mixture of things. So this is what I have so far. As you can see, the back panel, which I had last time, and the left shoulder, and which is on hold. And since the last podcast episode, I've picked up stitches and I've knit part of the right shoulder, which I just have to now do the increases for the neck. Yeah, for the neck, I think. And then I'll be done that part. And I'm assuming after that, you'll probably cast on stitches and join the right and left. I'm assuming. I haven't read ahead, but that's typically what happens. So I'm getting there, but like I said, this is kind of put on hold on the moment because a different project has taken priority for a gift knit. So I won't spend too much time on this, but just wanted to show you that I did pick up for the other side, and yeah, it's looking good. I love it. I really wasn't expecting this yarn to knit up like this. I didn't expect for these little silk pieces here to turn out like little loops on the fabric. I thought it would look much more like a thick and thin wavy type of yarn, if you know what I mean. So that was interesting. It was cool to see how it knit up, and I actually really like it. I think it looks really unique and cool, and it looks really beachy, earthy, and organic, and I think it's a nice pairing with this texture here. So I am very excited about continuing on this once I get this other sweater done, and I am making modifications for this. I mentioned before I will be doing, if I have enough yarn, I thought, so she does have a ton of this yarn, but again, they're only 50-gram balls, and I thought she had much more in this other box that I had, but it turns out it's just a very similar looking yarn, but it's not exactly the same. It's this yarn, and it looks very similar, but it's not, so I kind of confused those two. So anyways, I will hopefully do long sleeves if I have enough yarn. If not, they'll be 3/4 length sleeves, and then I'm also modifying the neckline to not be ribbing, and the bottom of the sweater will most likely not be ribbing either, just because I don't think it will look that great in this yarn. I don't know if ribbing will look that clean or neat, and it might just look a little messy. Also, I'm making this to be a nice, like, light breezy summer sweater, and I don't really love ribbing for summer sweaters. Ribbing for some reason just seems very like fall and winter to me. So I like to omit ribbing whenever I do my summer knits. That's all I will share about for this project here. I did talk about this one a lot in the last episode, and there's not much progress here. So hopefully by the next episode I have a bit more of that to share, and if not, then I probably won't share it until there's a lot more progress on that and just lots more to show. So the next one that I want to talk about is this beautiful sweater that I want to keep so badly, but it will be a gift knit. So I did say that this was a future plan of mine in my last episode, and then I realized that the person that I'm knitting this for, their birthday is fast approaching, way quicker than I thought. I didn't even realize that we're already in the beginning of July and this person's birthday is the beginning of August. So I was like, oh my goodness, I only have a month to get this done. I better put my Lacy loop tee aside, get this cast on, and just put all my attention and focus on this knit. And that's what I've been doing. And that is my Bohemian jumper by NORgard Knitters. It is one that has been on my favorite list for a really long time now. As soon as I saw it, I just fell in love with the yarn that they used, which was the Wavy Cotton by Gepard Garn, and which is a bulky weight yarn. So I fell in love with that, and I just loved the way that there wasn't any ribbing on it. It had this nice like billowy look to it, but it also cinches in at the waist and at the sleeves, or the sleeve cuff. It was just a really unique, interesting shape, and I knew that I had to knit it eventually. So finally, I cast this on, and I thought this would be perfect for my mom. I think this is right up her style as well. So what's also special about this is I'm using her mom's yarn as well. She had a ton of this in her stash, which is also Pingouin. I don't have the ball bands with me. Let me go get them really quickly. So this yarn here is the Pingouin Atoll. This is also discontinued yarn, and it is 50 grams a ball and 110 yards, 100 meters. And this is 71% cotton and then 29% viscose. So I really loved this color, just very similar to the color of the other yarn I was just working with. And what's cool about this is that it just has little bits of thicker pieces throughout, so it creates a very interesting texture. So I have a lot of this done, and this is what we have so far. So I'm so pleased with it. I'm going to hold it a little bit closer so you can see the texture. Now this is a DK weight yarn, and the pattern calls for bulky. I went with the suggested needles, which was 5mm yarn, or 5mm needles. And I just went up one size, so I'm doing size 2. It does call for a lot of positive ease, so I didn't think there would be too much a problem. If there's less positive ease, it'll still fit her just fine. So I think it'll be absolutely fine. And also after I block it, there will be more. It's also extremely stretchy. So I think we're going to be good. I'm knitting everything to pattern, except I did add a little bit more length. And I guess I'll just start with the top. So you cast on in the round, you go straight into stockinette. You cast this little bit here on smaller needles, and it's just straight knitting in a tube. And then you eventually put in your markers for your raglan increases. And you do a little bit of short rows to raise this back neck. And you're just doing raglan increases at a slower increase rate to create a really deep raglan. You're doing that for quite some time. And then once you split for the body and put the sleeves on hold, you go into some increases. And then once you finish the increase, you have an option to either lengthen it a little bit or go straight into the decreases for the body. And it'll tell you like how long the decreases will make the garment if your row gauge is the same, which surprisingly my row gauge was the same as the pattern. So I did lengthen it by about 1.5 inches or so before going into the decreases, which is what I'm working on now. And the decreases are just at this mark and at this mark. You can't really see the decrease lines because of this texture. It hides a lot of detail, but also it hides a lot of blemishes, or even, you know, sometimes when you're weaving in ends, or when I weave in ends, sometimes you can see it on the fabric on the outside, depending on the type of yarn. And with this, it just hides everything, and it is so nice. I really love it. It's great, like the yarn is great for that reason, but it's also extremely difficult to work with because it's very splitty. I drop stitches quite frequently, and I have to go back and pick them up with the crochet hook, but it's worth it because I just am obsessed with how this looks, and I think the recipient will absolutely fall in love with this. So yeah, I think I said it was for my mom already, so I don't know why I'm saying the recipient, but she will absolutely love this. And again, it's in her mom's yarn, so it makes it really special. And it just has like a really nice weight to it. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels like it'll be something really cozy to put on, but it's not too thick. And I like that it's not in a bulky weight yarn. I like that it's in the DK, and I don't know if, like, I would knit this again for sure, and I would love to have my own version of this. I do have more of this in stash, and I think I'll have plenty left over after I'm done this sweater. So I might make myself my own version in time if I am not sick of knitting this pattern. But if I had to buy more yarn for it, or different yarn for it, I don't know if I would go with the bulky weight, just because I like it just creates a bit more like airiness, and I feel like it would just be a bit more comfortable to wear it in this DK weight yarn versus the bulky weight yarn. And also I think it's just a bit more wearable throughout the different seasons being in DK weight yarn. But I really love this. The pattern has been really great so far. It's been super clear. I haven't been confused at any point, and I do like the way it's written as well. So definitely check it out if you like the look of this. So far from what I've knit, I can recommend it. Of course, I haven't been able to try it on yet or wear it. My mom and I are similar sizes, so I will try this on after I finish it, and it'll give me an idea if it fits her. I'll also probably do a little photo shoot wearing it just so I can post it on Instagram and also share the pictures here. But I think it'll be a good fit. We'll just have to see. It's also, I haven't knit anything yet that's had this deep of a raglan, so I'm curious to see how that will feel. It's one of those things that on its own it's great, but it's probably not the most comfortable when you have to put on a jacket over top and then all of that fabric under your arm gets scrunched up. That is really uncomfortable. So maybe it's just more of a sweater that you wear on days that you're not leaving the house, or maybe on days where you don't need a jacket, and that's fine too. So very happy with this. I don't have too much longer before I'm binding off, and after I'm done the decreases here, you go in, it's optional, but you can do short rows after to make the back just slightly lower than the front, and I think I will be doing that. And then for the sleeves, I haven't read ahead of the pattern yet, but it looks like there are some increases for the sleeves as well, and it kind of balloons out and it does some decreases closer to like when you get to like mid forearm part, it kind of looks like that's where you start the decreases. So this has been going really well. I started this, let's see what day I started this. I started this July 6th and it is the 16th today. So it's been on my needles for 10 days. There were probably, I started it and I got maybe this much done, and then we went on a road trip and I didn't touch it for a few days. And then since getting back, I've just been working on it nonstop. So it's been pretty fast going. I've just been keeping markers on the back for my progress each day. So, I mean, this was my project or my progress yesterday, just from this marker down, and then the day before it was like that. So I'm trying to at least get an inch or two done on the body each day. And that's been really motivating for me and just a good way to stay on track for my deadline. I have to have this done by August 3rd, but I also have to have time to block it, to let it dry, and to take pictures of it. So if I can get it done at least a week before that time, then I'm good to go. And I'm on track. I don't think the sleeves will take long either, and I'm almost done the body. So if I could do a sleeve, maybe like 2 days, a sleeve in 2 days, so that's 4 days for the sleeves. That should be good. And then I've also been weaving in ends as I go, which is just always a huge game changer. And I'm so happy that I do that when I'm done the project and I only have like 2 ends to weave in. It makes me feel so good. So yeah, it's going. It's been really enjoyable. I am in love with this sweater. It might be my most favorite sweater I've ever knit, and I'm not even done it yet, but I can just tell this is going to be a favorite of mine. And it's mostly like the pattern, of course, it's amazing, but it's mostly this texture. I love it so much, and I've learned that I need to buy more yarn that has a bit more texture to it, because it just makes it look so interesting and organic looking. So by the next podcast episode, I should have a lot of that done, if not the sweater done, and hopefully some pictures taken and all of that. So stay tuned for that sweater. The next whip is one that I just started yesterday, and I don't have a lot of it done. And this is going to just be another sample knit for my yarn. So I did have this sample in the Sprout Sport, but I wanted to knit up one more sample. So I am using the Sprout Sport base again. Just trying to find the tag here so I can show you. So this is the Sprout Sport, 50% bamboo, 30% linen, 20% cotton. This is Hollyhock Exhaust number 4. And as you can see, it's 100 grams. And what is it? 337 yards, 308 meters. So this is the colorway. Just a really light icy blue. And I decided to cast on the Tolsta Tee by Rebecca Clow. This is one that I had in my pattern library already because I have knit it before in the past. And I wanted another one because the one I knit up before, I loved it. It was great, but I found that myself that I found that I wasn't wearing it that much, and that's because it was just too tight for the underarm. It wasn't the most comfortable. So I decided to go up in size. This time I'm knitting size 2. And this is all I have so far. I am omitting the ribbing like I did on my first one, and I'm going to go ahead and do an applied I-cord after the fact. And I am doing eyelets for the raglan increases, and that's simply because I just wanted something that was easy and quick, and eyelets are a lot faster than a make one right or a make one left for me. So I just thought I'd do some eyelets, and yeah, like I said, I started this yesterday, so there's not a whole lot, but this is what it's looking like so far. I'm knitting these on 3.5 millimeter needles, and I was worried that the neckline was a bit too big, but I have to remind, because I can do that, but I have to remind myself that I will be putting an I-cord on this and it'll cinch it in a bit. And I did do my other one like this and it didn't seem this large. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, if I use smaller needles for the I-cord, it should cinch it in a little bit, and I think it'll be okay. But I'm excited about this. I don't have anything in this light ice blue color, and I think it'll be a really fun color to have. It'll just be good to have a nice basic tee too that's also in a plant-based fiber that will be good for the warm weather. And then also this goes well with my knit cardigans, so I can wear this in the wintertime with a cardigan, no problem. I'm also contemplating, depending on if I have enough yarn, I only have 2 of these, 2 skeins, which will get me a shirt, no problem, but I want to see how long I can make the sleeves, because a long sleeve version would be really beautiful. And I don't think I'd be able to get 2 full long sleeves, but possibly a 3/4 length. We'll see. Or maybe I can even just do just above the elbow as well, and that would be really cute too. And then I can transition it easier into fall and spring and in the winter time with a cardigan. So those are my thoughts on the Tolsta. And yeah, I'm excited to be knitting it again. I'm just doing the raglan increases right now. I've finished with the short rows, so it raised the back neck, and just working on those raglan increases. So it's a nice mindless knit right now, just stockinette. It feels really good. I've got 2 like mindless knits right now, and I kind of love it. It's kind of what I'm wanting right now, or craving right now, and it's just been really nice to work on both of these. So, well, I mean, I just started this one yesterday, but so far it's been really nice to work on, and I am looking forward to working on it more and get more progress on it. It's oh, you could probably tell, but yeah, you could probably tell by the name, but this was Hollyhock Exhaust number 4. So I used dried hollyhock flowers that I've had for a long time, and I got so many dye baths out of that and just tried to exhaust it as much as I could. And this was the 4th exhaust bath, and you can see still got some nice icy blue in there. That's all I'll say about the Tolsta. There's not much here, but hopefully next time I podcast, there's a bit more of that to show you. I did want to quickly update you all on my Calico quilt shawl by Samantha Troia. This has been on my needles for 2.5 years now, and every now and then it'll make an appearance here on YouTube. And it's just because it's been so slow going. I don't work on it regularly. Every now and then I'll just add a little triangle. So I have added quite a few triangles since I last shared this. And let me just show it here. As you can see, it's quite large. And I'm just working on my 3rd row. So I think the last time I shared this, it might have been just at the beginning. Is this the right side or the wrong side? Oh no, I'm showing you the right side. I think last time I shared this, I had a few rows done on this one. So I've since completed that one, added this, added that, and added these 2 up here, which I'm still working on this one. It's so big, it's so hard to show. But you can see it's growing, it's looking cool. It's gonna be a really fun shawl to have, and it's just been a really long time coming over this one. So when I finally finish this one, I think it's gonna feel amazing to have done, but it feels like I still haven't made a dent into my scraps. So I'm using all scrap yarn for this. The pattern calls for fingering weight yarn. I've modified it to do double or DK weight yarn So I am using a 4mm, I believe. Let's double check that. Yeah, 4mm needle. And I chose to do DK weight yarn just to get through more of my scraps. So there's probably even some worsted weight in here, but it's just good because for fingering weight yarn like this, I can hold it double. And then there are other things like this yarn down here, I could just hold it just single. So it just gives me more variety for the scraps that I'm working with. And yeah, it's been nice to get through some of them, but like I said, it feels like I haven't made a dent into my scrap bag, which is kind of annoying, but at least I'm getting a full, very large shawl out of the scraps. So I won't go on and on about this, just wanted to give a quick update of where we're at. It's so hard to hold up, and this is just one massive shawl. So this is my quick update. It's looking good, it's looking cool, and hopefully in a couple months I'll have a few more triangles added. It'll be interesting to see how long this actually does take me in total. It's not like I'm working on it regularly. This is an Advent project, so it is designed to be done within 25 days. Though that'd be tricky for me. Each triangle takes me so long. I haven't timed myself yet, but I should. Seems like they take a really long time to do each triangle, so I feel like I would struggle to get this done in 25 days, but it's not like you have to get an Advent project done within 25 days. It can definitely linger for as long as you want. But yeah, it's like I'm surprised as to how long this is taking me, but it's fine. It'll get done when it gets done. I have one last thing to show, and this is another scrappy piece. I was just thinking ahead, and when I am done that shawl, whenever that is, I was thinking I'll still have a ton of scraps to get through here, and what could I do with these scraps afterwards? I was even contemplating making another one of those shawls and turning it into like a square, so attaching it to this one. So to have two triangles and attach them down the like center spine there. And I could have a square blanket. But then I thought, no, I don't want to make this again. So I just did kind of like a little swatch, a little crochet granny square swatch. And this is probably close to a bulky weight or an Aran weight. I'm holding around 3 fingerings together, or a DK and a fingering, or a worsted and a fingering. And I'm just making a granny square and changing the colors each round. So I just use this as a little swatch, and I thought, what could I do with this? When I'm done that shawl, I could potentially get through a lot of scraps by just this holding so many yarns together. And this is the thing though, it's quite stiff. As you see, there's not a whole lot of drape there. So it's almost too stiff for a blanket, but I also do really love a thick, heavy blanket where it's kind of stiff and it feels like a weighted blanket. So that is an option. I could do that, but I also don't know if I'd have the motivation to continuously make these and make enough for a big blanket. But again, it could be an extremely long-term project. I also thought this is almost like sturdy enough for it to be a carpet, or a rug rather. And I just pictured a really scrappy rug like this on the floor, and I thought, wow, that could look absolutely amazing. And then I also thought that it could be a bag because it's nice and sturdy and I could line it, and I'm in need of another crochet bag. So I don't know, at the moment I'm just really enjoying looking at this. I think it's so pretty. I love how all the colors work together and all the marling. It really was just a fun thing to do one evening, to change it up and as a little palette cleanser. And for the meantime, I'm tucking it away in my little scrappy basket that I have here along with my shawl. And it'll be ready for me for when I'm done the shawl, and we'll see what comes of it. But I just wanted to share it because I thought it was really fun. I thought it was pretty, and I know all of you would appreciate a fun, scrappy granny square. Maybe you have some ideas of what I could do with this or what I could turn this into, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I'm still contemplating on what to do with this or what to turn this into. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me. I am going to put in a bunch of footage here at the end of just what I've been up to over the last couple of weeks, including that road trip we went on. So it'll be a lot of footage of mountains and lakes and BC and Alberta. So I hope you enjoy that. There'll also be a lot of garden footage as well. So it could just be something nice to knit along to. I'll see you on the next episode, and until then, happy knitting, happy making, and take care. All right, bye.